Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the channel. Excoundrel here, and I'm joined, if you are a Wild Rift fanatic, you will know who he is, but I'm joined by one of my best mates in the scene. It is Stuart. It's Stuart. He's got a Twitch channel he regularly streams. You'll find it in the description below. And he's got a YouTube channel where he's uploading Wild Rift content and TFT content. So if you're on my channel, you're an ex-Wild Rift viewer, and you kind of want to find a new home for Wild Rift, definitely go and check out Stu's channel. He's really informational and he's really wholesome. Never says any dumb shit on social media. He is an absolute baller, so I love Stu to the ends of the earth. But he's going to be doing some TFT casting with me today. Stu,
Yes.
do you want to give the guys some background on your TFT, kind of like, I guess, pedigree and background?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I've been playing TFT a lot since, well, all the way back in set 1, really. I reached Challenger in set 3 or 3.5, and then kind of since Wild Rift came out, I didn't really play a lot of like the past few sets, but this set I've been grinding a lot, as you have been doing as well. You know, both of us have been grinding quite a lot. I hit up to Grandmaster is like my peak elo at the moment. I think I'm down at like 80-ish LP at the moment with this new meta, because I'm still adapting to this new meta, as probably some of the viewers and obviously these pro players are as well. But still grinding, still enjoying the game. I think I'm nearly out like 400 games already this set. So
I'm at like 150 and you're at like 400, which is crazy. But you know, this new meta is interesting. I think obviously this tournament is on patch 13.1b, just 13.1, isn't it now? Or is it 13.1b? I can never remember.
13.12, I think it is.
Oh, is it 13? Okay. Well, I clearly have no idea what I'm doing. But yeah, it is on the new patch. So this is the set patch, I will call it. And so these guys are from the European ladder. This is kind of like an invitational. So these guys have been invited and they're testing out a new point system. So just to briefly tell you why you see some points on your screen already, I think we're into the second game, maybe the third, I'm not entirely sure. And these guys can choose to multiply their points. Now, it works either way, because you can gain 4 points for a first, or you gain -4 points for an eighth. If you choose to multiply your points in the game, you could end up getting like -8 or even -16, just based on how it works. So because we're only doing one game, we're not going to go into like the major details of the tournament, but just to know that the players have in-game the option to decide whether they want to multiply their points that they win from that game. You can do it at 2-1, which gives you a 4 times multiplication. So that's when you get your first hero augment. So, you know, they'll see their first hero augment and maybe, you know, get Ezreal Rising Spell Force and think it's a first, and then lock in the ×4. Or you can do it at 4-1, where you get the 2 times. And obviously at 4-1 you have a much stronger idea of where your comp is and how strong you are relative to the rest of the boards. So that's kind of like some background context. But Stu, we're going to jump into game. We're going to do a bit of casting. A lot of this is, just for context, practice for me and Stu. We really want to do TFT casting this year, so we'd love to hear your feedback in the comments and what you thought of it. And we're going to focus primarily on like analysis and chat. We'll have a conversation between us about the meta and how the players are playing it, and kind of like decisions that the players are making as well. For those of you who don't know the players, we don't know all of them, but Solo Gasang is usually like rank 1 in Europe almost all of the time, so he's probably the guy to watch. He's currently at -9. Lelouch as well is a very, very good player. He's at 15 points, so he's currently leading the lobby.
Okay, here we go. We're going to be jumping into the game. We're going to be looking at Noel's Expective, who already has picked up a bow for himself. I think bow is probably, in my opinion, one of the best starting items, and already has the glove there as well straight away from the minion. So I think he'll be very, very happy with that start. Can instantly slam that last whisper and go into, as you mentioned, you know, that set front line, and potentially for the, you know, the sure shot back line with the likes of Samira, even Senna 3-star I've been seeing as well. So pretty good start here for Noel.
Yeah, interesting that you mentioned about bow being the best. I think actually on this patch, its power level has dropped slightly. There are some good competitors to bow on that opening carousel. If you remember before this patch, it would be everyone spamming for the bow. You'd have like 5 people fighting for one bow, and then everybody else would just take whatever they can get. But of course, Last Whisper, very popular item.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. Bramble Vest very early on here. Now, obviously, Bramble Vest, I think, either a key item for if you want to play a Rammus comp, so either Rammus, Kai'Sa, Vayne reroll type thing, the Rammus recons, or it's actually a really strong item for set as well. And actually, defensive items this patch don't feel like turbo useless, because there's actually some good frontliners that you kind of want to include in your comp. So actually getting yourself a Gargoyle Stone Plate at 2-1 isn't awful, because you know that just with the meta how it is right now, good, strong defensive items are actually really important.
And it's crazy actually how much gold Brank got in the end. So instead of actually selling all of his board and basically making 10 gold and saving up for that early econ, actually goes for keeping the units like the LeBlanc, like the Zoe. We didn't actually see what admin he chose, but there was an admin option where his admins were able to gain 60 ability power. So maybe looking to go towards maybe that sort of AP route with maybe Heart, maybe looking for Heart Zoe, which is a very strong comp. Actually picks up the Prankster early on as well, which I think is very, very popular, because you can go Prankster with like Zoe, maybe a Jinx, and look for that Echo late game, looking for that 3 Prankster, so you can stun the targets on the enemy board. So maybe potentially looking to make 10 gold here as well. Yeah, Jinx as well. So can maybe go for 3 Prankster in the early game. I think with the dummies as well, it could be really, really big to just stun targets in the early game. It's such a really strong early board.
Yeah, and actually you see he's frontlining Jinx. That's something that is quite popular if you have Prankster activated, because it means that Jinx will get a very early cast. Her base damage has just been buffed in the last patch. She'll get an AoE stun, usually onto a clumped up frontline, and then she'll jump back and remain safe to get another cast off. So it's just a way of early stunning the board, getting out one of your decoy targets, getting another stun off, hopefully as Jinx jumps to the back line to remain safe. So you'll see a lot of people frontline their Jinx. And also because he's got the Prankster crest, he gets the 3rd Prankster upgrade, which not many people actually end up getting to see in games. And you get the 1.5 second stun when you actually proc that Prankster. Yep. So it's a very strong early board. I imagine Brank in a position to pretty strong win streak here as well. Plus, having the Bramble Vest gives him a bit of AoE damage as well over the time too. The only thing that I think may be a problem is that his Blitzcrank has got Prankster, and it might cause some awkward positioning if it jumps to the back line. But look, we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, I think I guess the only worry that really Brank has is that he didn't start with the tier, and he doesn't have any tiers. And like you said, his board is probably strong enough to win streak, so he might look towards that early win streak. But then you're going to be, set back on the carousel, so you won't be able to pick up maybe a tier for himself. He's actually going to use Zoe to jump into the back line as well, so making full use of the dummies, maybe landing on the likes of the Lulu or even the Lee Sin, or just being able to deal a lot of damage. As Blitzcrank just steps to a side, so like, psych, you're not hitting me.
He doesn't even. I thought he was going to leap back, but nope, just chilled.
Brinks here has got the anima. And is it anima? I mean, I always call it Spirit Visage. Is it called like anima something? Anima Visage, I think it is the Orn item, the portable forge, which gives them a lot of healing and magic resist, but I don't think it's going to be enough this time. I think it's going to be an easy first round win for Brank, with the dummies coming in handy for him.
Yeah, so that I think it's called Anima Visage. That is a super, super strong item in the current meta, because obviously Set has an absolute massive HP pool if you can get him. You slam that on him, and it's just having an unbelievable amount of regen on his HP pool. So it's a very, very strong item if you want to work your way into Set frontline. Of course, can be useful for things like Sejuani 2. And of course, can also be useful for things like Echo 2. Any kind of decent frontline with a decent HP pool is a relatively strong ask on. Noticing that a lot of these players are kind of sacking Econ. You can see that Noel here, he's gone for level 5 2-2, so a very aggressive level 5 run, which I kind of get. He's got double Mascot plus Cho'Gath Ace, and also the Last Whisper locked in. But it is, a very aggressive play here to kind of sacrifice Eco and just try and win streak off levels alone.
Yeah, you see players do this quite a lot if they have enough gold in the early game, especially with the first minion rounds. If you can get 10 or 20 gold or something like that from the first few rounds, and try and get a little bit of econ up, then you can use that econ to try and level up. Especially with 3 civilian online as well. I actually went for the civilian spat. Use that on the Draven because he will probably survive the longest, so he can give himself and the rest of his team a lot of mana. Has the Severe as well, with a pretty decent front line. Also picks up a Senna now as well, so can maybe look to get rid of this Draven, maybe look for a sure shot early game. With the Last Whisperer as well, is another really, really good center item. So another board that has a really, really strong, a lot of these boards at the moment have really, really strong early comps.
It's interesting because I actually didn't mind the Draven, even though obviously we're losing Sure Shot. At Sure Shot 1 with level 1 units, you're not actually generating a huge amount of AD increase over the time of the fight. And the Draven had the execute. So having that ace execute is also quite nice here. You can see we're now taking a look at Lelouch's board. He's got a KL2, got a double gangplank, has actually got 20 gold at 2-3. So a very opposite playstyle that we're seeing from Lelouch here, actively making his board suck. But very, very, very much prioritizing his eco at this point. That 2 gold going to very quickly grow and compound up towards 50 gold. He's probably looking at a 50 gold by Krugs situation here if he can maintain the loss streak.
And both these players actually use their 4 times as well. So Lelouch going for a more loose streak, whereas Brink's obviously won this round. I think Brink must have lost the first 2 rounds, so I think his streak is not going to be intact as we go towards the next carousel. So Lelouch and Skipitus, hopefully I'm saying the names right, will be able to pick first. Lelouch did have a Dragon's Claw completed. Wasn't really too sure what his other item was. Goes for the BF sword. So maybe looking towards Duelist because he did have that Duelist early game board. Obviously, Duelists are not as strong as what they were in the previous patch because Duelists now take a longer time to ramp up. They're not going to get that crazy burst of attack speed. Oh, we actually get to see their item. So he actually has a bow. So he actually decides to maybe look towards a Giant Slayer, which is not the best item in the early game because it gives that bonus of when you hit champions or hit units with more than 1,600 health, which is very, very rare in the early game. But as you get into the mid and late games, you get into stage 4 or something and above, then you'll be able to get get that.
I love this, by the way. You can see all the augments that have been taken very early on. So we've got Civilian and Prankster, we've got Orn items, we've got Trade Sector for Idle Monk, we've got Soligan Sang's gone for the Renegade spat, so expecting maybe a Viego comp from him. Didn't see the rest of them there. I believe there was what's the mana region?
Rich Get Richer, I think it was as well. There was one Rich Get Richer guy.
That's an aggressive augment to take. Just because, well, you're expecting to get to 70 gold and be able to sit there for a long time. That's often I feel hopeful sometimes in these games. But what I would say is there was also the Axiom arc. I think I saw the Axiom arc one. So I think that maybe seeing a potential either AP comp. We don't see many AP comps. I think they've kind of dropped off a little bit since set because it's so difficult for AP comps to actually burst through set that even Talia, you're often finding that even if Talia can burst the back line, she's end up just dealing with this like 50,000 Gillian HP set that she actually can't deal with very well. So AP comps, apart from Hearts, and really to make Hearts work, you need either a kitted out Zoe with Heart Spat, or you need to have definitely Giant Slayer, almost perfect items, Sarakas. So AP comps in general have kind of taken a little bit of a hit on this patch, but they are still good, if you get the right augments and the right items.
Yeah, I think that because a set best in style item is that Dragon's Claw as well. And the problem is that AP comps don't really have a Lost Whisper alternative as well. Yeah. Yes, you have the Giant Slayer that can do a little bit of extra damage to targets with high HP, but you don't have the item that could really, penetrate through, magic resist in a way. You got Static Shiv, but it's not really a damage item. Ionic Spark can also be good for your front line, but you don't have that Lost Whisper damage item called alternative. Whereas AD comps, like the Samira that's looking, to be one of the strongest comps at the moment with that set front line, you always have to try and look for that Lost Whisper. And if you get that Lost Whisper, you will hopefully be able to do enough damage through that front line and through that set so you can gain access to the back line and hopefully win the rounds.
Interesting thing that I just saw there, Stu. First of all, Brink, who we saw at the start of the game with the Prankster emblem, has a 5-0 win streak heading into Krugs, so had a very strong start. He's picked up, he 1%ed a Zac or 2%ed a Zac here for a front line. And although I think Zac kind of sucks as the game progresses, Zac at this stage of the game is actually really strong. Oh, yeah. He's a really, really good tank. The other thing is Noel. Obviously, we saw him go level 5 aggressively. He went level 6 aggressively at 2-6. So the only reason in my eyes that you would ever aggressively level to 2-6, especially because he already lost his win streak the round before, is because you just want to get better increased odds of a 4-cost randomly. So he's hoping that maybe he's going to have 2 rounds worth or maybe even 3 rounds worth of extra odds for a 4-cost. That's the only reason I see sacking your eco so heavily at 2-6 to go for 6 is worth it for, right?
Yeah, you need the luck of the draw, really. You need the Mort Dog luck, as most people would say, with that sort of leveling up, trying to get into level 6. But the problem with that is that obviously you're not going to have that much econ. You don't need to level at 3-2 to level 6, but then you're kind of hoping that you have a streak to kind of counteract you losing so much econ in the early game. I think that's the big problem with that. And obviously, like as you mentioned, because he lost this streak, is actually quite surprising that he's actually gone to level 6. We can see sort of Kazang's board here as well has a Bloodthirster and Archangel, so two, I would say, relatively decent Viego items. Probably not the best in slot Viego items, but two pretty decent items. But I think Renegade Spat has been probably one of the most popular spats in the most recent update, because it allows you to get that 6 Renegade, which gives you so much extra bonus damage. And if your units stay alive as well, that last unit that stays alive, which is most of the time the Viego, can do a bunch of damage, especially to the backline. But it does look like he's going to be losing this round, and Brank just carries on winning one by one. And then the only other person on the win streak is actually Brinks at the moment, who actually lost his win streak. So now we're looking at Brank being the only person now with this Prankster spat in the early game going on the win streak as we get into our second choice of augments.
I love these augment choices. It's interesting. Double Trouble, not as popular as it was because things like the Kaiser and the threat comps have kind of dropped off just a little bit. Electro Charge is always decent, especially if you've got a set already, and there we go. He's got a set already, so he's clearly going for Electro Charge. Brix is in a very strong spot right now. Has gone for a blue buff. So are we going to see like a set AP backline comp here from Brix? I mean, set ultimately can go with anything, right? Set is the beauty of a set is that it has that flexibility.
Oh, roll down.
Yeah, this is a big. You don't. So is he going for Kaiser? It's like a Kaiser Vayne thing going on here, because we see the Cho'Gath, we see the Rammus. Maybe he's pivoted out of duelists and is going to go towards more of like a Kaiser Rammus recon build.
And this is not something you really see in the meta, but maybe realizing that he's so low on health already, he's already down to 57 HP, maybe realizing that he needs to roll down to get his board into a stable enough spot so that he doesn't lose that much HP. I mean, at the moment, we're seeing like this, rush level 8, rush level 7 meta, and then look to roll down to try and look for them high full cost units. But in terms of Lelouch's position, he's like, okay, I'm already at really, really low health. I need to try and do something. And he actually does ruin Brank's win streak at the same time, but he's rolled all the way down to 10 gold. Maybe still looking for duelists, because he does have Silver Vayne 2, Fiora 2, but he does have a few threats in there as well. So maybe looking for different ways that he can go about, as he actually sells the Nyla in the end, puts that Dragon's Claw on the Cho'Gath to give him a little bit more tankiness and damage, and also make himself 20 gold.
One of the things that, both duelists in round 3 and also like the recon 2-star comps, they're both strong at this stage of the game. If you have 6 duelists in round 3 and you have a good carry to work with, you're usually going to win every single round in stage 3. It's very difficult not to. And if you have the Rammus Kaiser recon comp, it's also very strong mid game. The whole point of that comp is to have good tempo, so that you can kind of deal with what the enemy boards during round 3 and round 4. You start to drop off towards round 3 and round 4, and you kind of rely on your ability to 3-star your carries to get you through to the late game. But as you mentioned, he has such low HP right now. He needs to go with a good tempo comp. He's also picked up Thrill of the Hunt rank 2, which at this stage of the game is very strong. You can get your kills and your carries. They're going to generate a huge amount of HP back. And I think Lelouch has gone for a very tempo-heavy play here to keep himself relevant and maybe search for one of those top 4 spots. Because as we mentioned before, he did 4 times this game. So he's on a 4 times point game. He needs to not bleed out in round 3. Otherwise, he's going to have problems.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he did slam the Giant Slayer as well, which luckily he was against Brinks, who had that set. So obviously had that above 1,600 health, so he can just easily get through the set, even with Anima Visage as well, as we get into our 3-4 carousel. Everyone trying to pick up their items and pick up their units as well. We do have Sunny Weather as well, as we can see in the top right. So we do have the shielding for Janna. So maybe something that some players will look out for, is Brank actually picked up a Rammus and now has a Rammus 2-star as well. We're going to be looking at Idomog's board, which we haven't actually looked at this game. Already has a Kaiser 2-star and a Rel 2-star in the front line as well, with Warmogs and Dragon's Claw and Ionic Spark. Static Shiv already on the Kaiser. So maybe looking for a Recon Star Guardian alternative to maybe not going for a threat front line.
No, I mean, I think this board is a pretty good mid-game board if you want to play Kaiser. And then I think Kaiser, again, is another board that you can transition to set if you find it. I think ultimately Rel Defender will drop off massively, especially compared to like if you itemize a Rammus. He did sell the Rammuses though, so it does speak to me that he's actually not looking for a Rammus as the game progresses. But Static Shiv has only 2 avenues in this game. Static Shiv is either Kai'Sa or you're going to use it to item. Well, actually, no, you can put it on Misfortune. Three pathways.
Misfortune,
yeah,
it's not bad.
It's not bad. Like some people even consider it core. It's good for Taliyah comps because obviously if you don't have Ionic Spark, it reduces the magic resist. It's good for Misfortune comps and it's good if you're going to play Kai'Sa. Now he's obviously storing Kai'Sas at the moment, but it doesn't mean he's going to stick for the Kai'Sa build. The fact that he's ignoring Ramesses to me makes me think maybe not looking to go long-term Kai'Sa. But it really, depends what the game gives you. He's obviously going to have to go level 7 at 4-1 like most people do. And he doesn't really have much eco beyond that to roll down. So, we're looking at limited options here for Idle Monk in terms of, where he can go from here. If he doesn't hit with the set or doesn't hit with the Misfortune, he might be kind of forced to play a recon defender weird hybrid build thing.
Well, one thing we actually didn't realize is he actually took double trouble as his second hero. So that's why he's actually playing for a double Kai'Sa. He actually has double Rel as well, and he's actually didn't decide to put in double Rel. So double trouble normally, as you mentioned before, Excoundrel, is like you like to go towards maybe a Kai'Sa Vayne double duo carry in the recon, and then maybe look for a front line, maybe look for Rel 3-star, Nyla 3-star, Kai'Sa 3-star as well, and that's why he's starting to win the rounds. And with trade sector as well, it means you get that free refresh every single at the start of every single round, which means that you can look for some of these 3 stars a lot sooner than maybe some people expect. So I think that he's actually in a good spot. One of the only people except for Lelouch that is on a win streak. Obviously, as we saw earlier, Lelouch was able to roll down pretty much all the way. Level 7 already for Revan. He's actually rolling on the minion round. This is something that some players like to do because it means that you get to roll before anyone else reaches level 7, so you can try and look for them 4-cost units before anyone else does. Obviously, it means that he's not going to get as much gold with Econ in the next round, but it means that he can find the likes of the Samira and the Set, which is what he's found. Yeah,
I like it as well. I mean, if you have the capacity to get 7 and make these rolls happen earlier, then as you mentioned, Stu, it is just about getting on top of the other players in terms of fighting these 4 costs, because most people level to 7 now and roll down now. So if you do it a round before, you might be able to take 4-cost units out of the pool. He's gonna whack a 2-star Zac on the board as well. Now, I don't rate Zac massively, but you can never discount a 2-star Zac. It will buy you time, especially as he is obviously right now searching for a 2-star set at this point.
Yeah, I think that's what you pretty much put the nail on the head there. The big thing about Zac is just stalling time. You're just stalling time for the front line. You already have that set in the front line with the stone plate, so you will solo front line that set, which will tank a lot of damage. But then you have the Zac as well. So he doesn't deal that much damage, but it gives Samira enough time in the back line to keep stacking, keep using the abilities. Slams the guard breaker as well. So has the Lost Whisper, so you'll do well against the defender front lines and against front lines that has a lot of armor. But it does look like that set 1-star is not going to be enough for now. The Zac healing maybe not going to be enough either, it's just not enough at the moment. You're really looking for that Samira 2-star, and look at, he's actually rolling down already because he realizes that he's going to be below 30 health and maybe even below 20. He's down all the way to 17 HP right now, and you can see that he's just rolling, and now we get a hero augment and he doesn't hit Samira.
No, he found Misfortune, but honestly, if he went for the Senna there, it's not terrible. I don't think he did though. He looks like
Aurelion Soul.
Oh, okay. So he's going to slam a random Aurelion Soul then, and put the Jeweled Gauntlet on him. So he's gonna.
Go ahead.
So is he just gonna run a random Aurelion Soul extra carry? I mean, set 2 is really nice here, but he's only running with He's only running with 1 item. Set 2. He's gonna Jeweled Gauntlet the Aurelion Soul. So he's going for a double carry threat here, with Aurelion Soul providing, obviously, Extension Event is a great augment. It just makes Aurelion Soul much more useful in general. Obviously gives him the burn. It gives him the natural anti-heal, which he doesn't have on any of his other items. So it kind of makes sense. It's definitely a ballsy play. I quite like the aggressiveness of it. Does really need Samira too, and the problem with this Samira is doesn't run Giant Slayer. So into heavy brawler front lines and even set line front lines, Samira is going to get stuck on one target for a very long time.
I think it's a bit of a difficult situation because, I mean, it seems like he already used his reroll, so he wasn't able to reroll and hopefully hit that Samira augment. Must have used it a little bit beforehand, and that's sometimes that situation. I mean, I always like to keep my re-roll until maybe I hit that hero augment, because hero augments are so important. Like, they can top 4 or bot 4 you a game, and obviously this time Riven was not able to hit the augment that he wanted with the Samira. Like you said, I don't think this Senna one's bad either, but maybe looking for a little bit of anti-heal as well with the Aurelion Soul. As you said, it is a really strong carry augment as well, because their meteors are going to be dealing a lot more damage, and they're going to be bigger as well, so they're going to be able to spread across a huge target. So I have to see how he does in this round. He does still have the Set and the Aurelion Soul, but I'll see how he does now. LeBlanc 2, on the other hand, for Brank, this is the three prankster, the 3 prankster board. Still no tears, but that LeBlanc on the back line with the Giant Slayer and the Jeweled Gauntlet doing so much damage, and there's just not enough damage on the side of Zen at the moment. Saying that, maybe he could try and break through here.
He will. He'll beat him. I think he needs Aurelion Soul 2, and maybe some more mana generation on the Aurelion Soul right now. If you don't have Samira 2, you don't have Aurelion Soul 2, you're actually lacking severely in terms of damage. It kind of has the donkey roll here. I don't think you can eco up at all. You're on 11 HP. You basically need to donkey roll and hope that you hit one of your 2-star forecasts. And there's 2-star Samira. That's exactly what he needed to try and stabilize here. Is it going to be enough? I'm not rating the Zac right now, but it might buy them enough time. He adds in the Aphelios too, which is going to give him a little bit of extra CC. Obviously, has gone for what the hell is this middle purple gun called? Help me out here, Stu.
It's called, I don't know what, I can't remember what the guns are called. Oh no, I know the blue one's Dusk Wave.
Yeah, plus Dusk Wave.
The red one is... I can't remember what names are. That's something that we'll have to go back to and remember. I have to remember the name. It's called a stun gun. I think that's the best way to call it.
He's taken the stun gun because it's really the only good. It's really basically the only good Aphelios gun in like most situations.
I mean, saying that, I mean, there was a few changes that happened to Aphelios, which actually gave his a blue gun and his red gun more damage, and they actually nerfed his purple gun. But I think, as you mentioned, in this situation where you already have the items on the Samira 2-star, you don't have any items on the Aphelios. You're more using Aphelios like for that crowd control, as you mentioned. You're not really using it as a carry. But I think if you do itemize the Aphelios, I do think like the Dusk Wave or the red gun is a lot better because it does do a lot more damage. Whereas the purple gun is more to do with crowd control. But he finally does win a round though, which I think is really good against the double trouble boards. As we're gonna look and see what item he picked. He picked up a bell. I wasn't too sure what other components he had on his bench.
He's got nothing. He's got nothing. I don't think.
He's got nothing. So he's just looking for another set item. I think that's the best bet that he can look for at the moment. But I think that Samira 2-star is big and will do enough for him right now to be able to stall. Was Noel, on the other hand, has gone for a very similar situation. Actually did pick up the Samira hero augment and does have the Sure Shot crest as well. Also has a Nico's on his bench, or champion duplicator, if you want to call it that as well. I always still call it Nico because that's the old name of champion duplicator. Really looking for that Samira 2-star, but can't find it, unfortunately. Does have, probably in my opinion, 3 of the best items for Samira, but Samira 1-star is just not going to do that much against the likes of a Set frontline or even any frontline in this instance.
I actually have a feeling that even the Viego could be tough for him to get through here. It depends on where the Viego goes. The only thing that's going for him right now is that Viego doesn't actually have Jeweled Gauntlet, so not going to. Oh my gosh, that is a renegade fiddlesticks, man, and I actually think that's doing enough. That Renegade Fiddlesticks might have done enough here. It's basically Aphelios with Deathblade versus Sivir 2. Sivir's going to cast here. Is it going to be enough? Oh, it's an Oxforce! Oxforce saves the day, and Noel is absolutely on 1 life right now. He bails out with a Samira 2 at 9 life. But the only problem that Noel is facing is his front line is awful. Well, it's not awful, but it's not the best right now. It's just a double brawler with Sejuani 2. It's not again, not terrible, but you have to be aware that there are better front lines out there at this moment in time. This is the old school front line for Samira, and you might struggle versus a fully itemized set. But as you mentioned, perfect item Samira, it is enough to kind of burn through some of the bigger units, and we could be looking at one of these guys going out right now.
Oh yeah, this is a really, really big fight. Revan versus Noel. Both of them have Samira 2-star. I would say that Noel does have the better items. Yeah, the Giant Slayer is big to burst through that set front line, and maybe is enough in the end, as well as the Ultimate from Samira is maybe enough to get into the back line. It is enough, and Revan is going to be knocked out in 8th place. So unfortunately, the difference really being that hero augment that Revan picked up. He just wasn't able to hit Samira, whereas Noel got that carry Samira augment and did get that extra 30% damage boost from Style and Flare.
Yep, and also has 4 sure shot in with the sure shot emblem, and has basically perfect items Samira. So you know the Giant Slayer is showing you how powerful that can be. The Giant Slayer Last Whisper combo for Samira. Giant Slayer gives you, although nerfed on the last patch, massive ability to shred through a set. And honestly, I'm going to say it outright, you cannot play Samira without Last Whisper. I think without Last Whisper, she basically tickles her opponents. So it's a really, really important item so she doesn't get stuck on the tanks who've got like the Gargoyle Stone Pate and the Bramble Vest. So really, really good pickups for Noel. That board looking strong enough to stabilize. That's a good top 4 looking board. He just needs to make sure he doesn't run into anybody that's on like a massive win streak. A good misfortune board can still absolutely shred Samira in the right, the right circumstance. But that is a good top 4 looking board for Noel. He can't actually upgrade anything else except for like an Aphelios 2-star right now. And really, you're not going to do that super readily at level 8. So, I think Noel basically as good as he can get. He's better off at this point trying to hope that he wins enough to go 9 and stick in another unit.
Yeah, I think positioning is key for Noel. We're having a look at Skipatus, or Skip. How would you say his name? Skipaeus? Would you say that's his name?
Skip Zeus? Is it? Oh, Skipaeus. I thought he said Z. Yeah,
Skipaeus. Yeah, I think it's Skipaeus. Yeah, as we're going to go over to the Louch's board, but Skipaeus did have 7 anime squad in, so he's been getting a bunch of stacks. The Louch's board, obviously, we looked all the way back at 3-2, where he rolled down to pretty much 10 gold with this jawless board. Is going to be going up against the Double Trouble, and this Double Trouble Kai'Sa is not enough at the moment. Does have that support augment as well for Vayne, so that is the Internight, if I remember. So he basically getting a free item with the Guardian Angel, or I like to call it Guardian Angel because, again, that's the old name, but I need to remember some of the new names. But does pick up the Edge of Night, which means that anyone that you put the Edge of Night on is going to be getting that extra attack speed. We're actually going to go back to Skipaeus' board, and as I said, 7 anime squad.
7 anime squad.
Yeah, with an anime squad, Aurelian Soul as well, so it's going to be gaining that extra HP and the extra burst damage as well. Does actually sell one of his anime squad. He's actually thinking of going down to 5 anime squad because he does have an Urgot in there as well, and he is going to be sticking that Urgot in. Urgot is a champion, I think one of my favorite champions in this set. Being able to get basically a lottery draw from his wave, the crowd control he deals, and also because of the buff that he received in the most recent patch as well. So it means that you can actually start to put items on Urgot as well now for him to be a carry and also drop your loot at the same time, which he didn't get this time, unfortunately.
Oh, Lelouch just gets beaten out. This is Noel now, as we mentioned. He's only level 7. I thought Noel was level 8. Yeah, and he needs to go 8 at this point very quickly and add in something. He's holding a Zac, I think, for a good reason. He just wants more frontline. His backline literally can't get any better, so he is going to level up here and throw the Zac 1 in just to buy a bit more time on that frontline option. But Lelouch, with the 6 duelists, he has now hit Zed. He's gone for the Thief's Glove Zed. He's obviously desperately searching for Vayne 3 at this point. And is doing
find it.
Oh, wait a second. He's going to throw in a Fiddlesticks. A last-minute Fiddlesticks here.
Yeah, last minute Fiddlesticks. I wonder where he puts the tank items on. It's actually going to be put on Nyla in the end. To be fair, the role of these Thieves Claws items is not actually that bad for the Zed. Obviously, Runa's Hurricane is a good item. Also, Blue Buff, so he can cast his ability more. Is going to be going up against Solar Kazang here, who maybe has 6 Renegade online with that Renegade Fiddlesticks. Isn't going to be able to get the stacks up, though. And this Vayne is doing so much damage. Even 2-star Vayne as well, doing so much. Talon's trying to jump in onto the back line. Does still have the Ox Force, this Aphelios, but I don't think it's going to be enough to break through this Vayne 2-star and Zed 3-star. So Lelouch has another round to potentially look for this Vayne 3-star. And obviously, if he gets it, then he can he definitely look for it. It doesn't look like it, unfortunately, but
more
he could potentially look for that Vayne 3-shot. My God, there's 2 short-shot emblems.
Did Noel mean to go for the yeah, because he's already got a Gargoyle Stone Plate, right? So he didn't probably the Shroud is a fine pickup here, especially if you're going into things like enemy Samiras or enemy Misfortunes. The more time that you can buy you before that first cast, the better. Especially if you're running a Giant Slayer Samira who wants that time to wind up. Every second kind of counts with Samira.
Yeah, so Kazang is the only one to pick up the sure shot emblem because he has the Aphelios already, so he's going to be giving Aphelios a little bit more extra damage. I'm curious to see where he actually puts the sure shot on the board. As we say that, we do actually swap to Soda Kazang's board, so he's actually just going to level up and put in the Leona with sure shots. So Leona's still a pretty good unit, and I think Leona is probably one of the best units against the likes of a set, because you could just do so much damage to that set, and it just sticks on the sets constantly all the time and do a lot of damage. But it's only just a 1-star Leona, so I don't think it's going to do too much. But this lobby is
there's the 3-star Vayne. He's hit it.
Oh, is he hit it? Oh, that's going to be big, and he's going to be going up against Scipeus as well. Double Aurelian Soul. One of them has double Shojum. One of them has Animate Squad, Rapid Fire Cannon, and Death Cap. Will it be enough to break through the Duelists?
See, that Vayne is going to be very difficult to deal with. The Zed's still popping off. Zed got great items too. It is basically Aurelian Souls versus Vayne, and I actually think the Vayne is going to come out on top here. He does, but it's a good loss for Scipeus. He's not out of the game just yet. Lelouch still in it. Scipeus, Idle Monk at 5. Noel on a win streak. We have a very low HP lobby. We might end up losing a couple of people before the end of round 5 here. I'm loving the kind of the variety and comps that we're getting this game as well. You know, we're not just seeing set misfortune all the time. It's a double 2-star Aurelian Soul. It's a 3-star Nyla, a 3-star Riven. It's basically...
Oh, wow.
What? It's basically full double trouble board at this point. You're just playing double trouble Nyla, double trouble Riven, double trouble Kai'Sa, and we're nearly at a 3-star Kai'Sa as well for Idle Monk.
I mean, it's such a huge power spike because with double trouble, obviously, when you reach that 3-star unit, you basically get the unit 2-star as well, completely free. So you got the double trouble. He's actually going to go up against Scipeus as well. So the double Aurelian Soul in the backline, will it be enough to break through this? I'm not actually too sure. I do think that the Kai'Sa and this Nyla frontline with the Riven can do enough. But there is the Fiddlesticks as well, which is dropping lower and lower. It's going to be jumping in to fear the front line.
I'm not sure. I don't think the damage is there. The burn from the Aurelian Soul can really deal with these high HP targets, and I think that's going to bump off this Nyla, and I think we are going to see Idle Monk getting knocked out here by the double 2-star Aurelian Soul board, and suddenly, as we head into Zach boss round, we're down to 5. Lelouch also knocked out. Remember, he 4 times his points, and I think if you get 6, you get -2. So
yeah, I think it's -2. Yeah, doubled that.
So quadrupled. He quadrupled it actually.
So
Lelouch is actually at 15. He's probably knocked himself down to 7 points now. Still in a good, healthy-ish position, but yeah, he went very ballsy at round 2-1. And I'd love to see what the rest of these boards looks like. We're taking a look at Bricks right now, who's got essentially the ultimate board with the set with very, very healthy frontline. You're seeing how strong set is with the Anima Visage as well, and he's got a pretty decent misfortune. I think you'll often find a lot of misfortune players end up doing this, Stu. You prioritize your set items, and then misfortune essentially gets whatever you can give her. And because she's ace, you know that she's gonna execute targets at some level of HP. But still a strong board overall, I'd say, for Bricks. Just needs to get those casts off. But with the set, with the items that he's got, he's gonna survive forever. And also itemized Ionic Spark. So the Aurelian Soul is going to do more damage, the Fiddlestick is going to do more damage, and of course, his Powerhouse Misfortune is going to do more damage.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. Did also go for the evasion as well, the support augment for Jax. That means that if they do drop below 50% health, they're going to get that 100% dodge rate, which I think is going to be really, really big against some of these targets. We're going to see Solo Kazang against Scipeus, so another person is going to be knocked out this round. I think this Aurelian Soul, the double Aurelian Souls, has done so well to do a lot of damage into backline. That Fiddle ulti as well just went across the entirety of Solo Kazang's backline. The Viego is still alive, though. Will it be enough to put the damage into the backline? The Felios in the end. This double Aurelian Soul is doing so much work on the backline. That's Solo Kazang out in 5th place. Noel actually gets a top 4 in the end as well. He was on a win streak.
The perfect item, Samira, got bumped off by somebody. I'm assuming it was Bricks. But Brank, also the guy who started off with the Prankster emblem in a strong spot, and we are suddenly in a top 3 situation. And also, I think you're noticing there that although we had a relatively good Viego board, if you don't have like perfect item Viego, and I'm talking like Ionic Spark, Dual Gauntlet, and probably Hextech Gunblade, he kind of sucks. Like, Viego isn't... I think Viego isn't very good without good items.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing... I'm guessing he's against Branks. Yes. It looks like Branks goes Branks with board, the Prankster Zag, and then you have a 3-star LeBlanc as well, which is going to do so much damage. Doesn't have the Shojin, which is normally the ideal item. But again, the Fiddlesticks, again, I mean, the Fiddlesticks is complete MVP, but LeBlanc, oh my God, the LeBlanc damage in the end. Absolutely one-shots the double Aurelion Soul backline. Actually knocks Scipeus out in 3rd place. Now we're down to 1 versus 1. Brinks with this set frontline versus Brank with the Prankster emblem and that 3-star LeBlanc. It's going to be very, very interesting to see as we get a nice little double view here of both the boards. Both of them are level 8. And just interesting enough, Brinks has still got 50 econ, so maybe even looking for a level 9, realizing that he's not going to lose 32 HP in 1 round.
I mean, I think, you know, Bricks right now, he beat him in the last round. They actually had a full-on, you know, sprite versus sprite battle, no ghost involved. But one of the things that you've got to remember is that Anima Visage set, it's just so unbelievably strong. I mean, look at the HP regen he's getting right now. Misfortune will get taken down pretty low here, but not enough to get taken out completely. This is going to be close. This is definitely going to be close.
Yeah, LeBlanc in the backline trying to do enough damage as well. It looks like the LeBlanc 3-star is going to be enough to take down Bricks, but as I said, it's not going to be enough to take him out just yet. He does still have that 50 econ as well. There is a Fiddlesticks with Death Cap as well in his carousel. I think both of these players do want that Fiddlesticks to maybe look for it. And it does look like Bricks is going to go for that Fiddlesticks. Not too sure if it's Fiddlesticks 2-star, but he is probably going to go to level 9 this round. So he does have that higher chance to potentially look for that Fiddlesticks 2-star. He does go level 9. He does have a few rolls. Will he hit Fiddlesticks? He's at 5 gold now. Maybe he's not going to risk it. He's going to roll 2 more times. Doesn't, unfortunately, find the Fiddlesticks 2-star. Does actually sell one of his Urgots to replace the Urgot and put the Shojin on Janna instead. So I think the crowd control from the Janna may be doing enough in the end. He's going to keep rolling down, but he's not going to find anything, unfortunately.
A couple of really interesting...
double Fiddlesticks, though.
Yeah, a couple of things that's really interesting to note, by the way. The Hacker emblem was picked up by Brank, which means we have a 3-Hacker, 3-star LeBlanc. She's going to be generating a huge... Oh my God, she absolutely blasted that set. And this is looking very good for Brank, who's running a very unorthodox composition. He looks like he's going to town on this board right now. Look at the healing from the 3-star LeBlanc. It's not over just yet, but that LeBlanc is a menace.
Yeah, I didn't even recognize the Hacker emblem in the end. The healing is going to be enough, but I think it's just because, you know, the Giant Slayer plus the Jeweled Gauntlet and the 3-star LeBlanc, that single target damage that LeBlanc brings can break through this Anima Visage frontline of the set. You know, Anima Visage, normally you're expecting like some continued damage output because then you can heal up with the Anima Visage. But when you're against the 3-star LeBlanc, as soon as that targets the set, it's just dead instantly. And
I'm loving the
really difficult, I think, now.
I'm loving the Hacker Fiddlesticks as well. Like, straight to the backline, so you just know that he's going to disrupt the entire backline when he eventually starts to cast it, because Misfortune is going to hit him. She activates him early into the fight, which means Fiddlesticks gets that immediate cast off. Now, this is a better fight though for Brixton. He's managed to get a huge amount of damage off. It is obviously LeBlanc versus the world at this point, and Soraka really popping off too. I think it might be too much. And Brank with a Prankster emblem start gets the 3-star LeBlanc carry, and that is definitely a little meta breaking. We don't see much LeBlanc carry in the meta, but showcases that with the right setup, it's still extremely strong.
Yeah, with the right items, with the Hacker emblem in the end as well, the early Prankster was pretty huge. And I think that he picked up the support Soraka augment in the end as well, so getting the extra mana regeneration on the LeBlanc so she can cast more. So it's very, very interesting as a first competitive game to cast. There was a lot of different things that I was not expecting to see, that's for sure.
No, but I also love the variety of stuff that we saw in the lobby. I think we only saw one set MF player. We saw one set Samira player, but everybody else was... You know, we had a double up kind of like Kai'Sa, Riven, Nyla board. So they were only running Kai'Sa, Riven, and Nyla. We had a 6 duelists with Vayne carry. We had Soligan Sang going for the Viego build with suboptimal items. We had the LeBlanc Prankster start full Hacker carry build.
Yeah.
So yeah, like a lot of really interesting stuff. And I also saw a lot of reliance on these new, very buffed up Urgots and Fiddlesticks. You know, a lot of the guys slotting in Urgots and Fiddlesticks into their comps because they believe them just to be strong 5 costs in general. So it's good to see how that meta's shaken up. But Stu, thanks so much for casting that with me. It was really fun. Hopefully we can do some more this week. If you guys are interested and want to kind of see what the pros are doing, we'll go over some of the North American ones maybe. We'll go over some of the European ones again as well. So it'll be cool. But again, like I said, if you like listening to Stu, all of his description and stuff all of his links rather in my description below. You can go and check them out. And you can go over to his channel for anything Wild Rift. He's also doing a bit of TFT. He also streams a bit of TFT too. And as you mentioned, we're both kind of grandmaster levels, so we're grinding the leaderboards. I won't say that I'm loving this meta. I've dropped off playing a little bit because this meta is a little bit frustrating, but I've actually had a bit of renewed love. I'm going to go in and try like carry Jinx and carry LeBlanc and see how it works out.
There you go. Hopefully for the best. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate you letting me join you as well, Excoundrel. It was nice to get my first TFT cast out the way. A few things to, maybe farm myself on, maybe with some, names of things, but we'll get there at the end.
I haven't cast TFT in so long, so yeah, it was fun to do it, and I was going to keep practicing. It'll be good to get the practice in.
Exactly.
Cool. See you later, guys.